Gotta let this one play out a little bit.
Oh, yeah.
There we go. Yes. So good. So good. That's another one of those songs that we could use every single show. It's so good.
Yeah, without a doubt. I mean, I'm another one shocked that this has never been on the show before.
We have used Black Sabbath one other time, and of course, it was with the one and only Larry, who is here joining us again this evening, who we're going to get to in just a minute. We got a lot to get to here. A lot of moving parts, a lot of people here. This is going to be a lot of fun. First and foremost, welcome back, Geoholics, episode 255.
255.
Yes,
believe it or not.
Indeed, we are more than halfway to 300.
We are.
Well, between 200 and 300. We're more than halfway. I guess that's where I'm going with that.
Sure.
Of course, this week's episode is sponsored by MLID. Sorry, Larry, but we have to mention them. Have you heard about Winter Ground?
I believe it or not, I have heard about
twice.
Winter Ground.
It's an all-in-one kit for aerial surveys. It combines all the elements of a ground control setup, GNSS receivers powered by MLID, checkpoints, and the necessary tools to make it all work. It automatically connects to the Wingtra tablet, of course, providing step-by-step setup guidance. Makes it really easy for fast and error-free base and checkpoint setup. To find out more, go to mlid.com. Let's get to some updates here. I mean, I feel like it's been a while since
there's got to be a lot of updates, right?
We have Dr. Nick with us. So, Dr. Nick, good to see you, my friend. What's new with you?
Well, I appreciate the MLID plug right at the beginning of the show. That went over really well. I appreciate it.
Hey, there's always next year.
There's always next year.
No, we're doing great. Texas is hot, getting a lot of rain, but doing well.
Oh, good. And the new house? Settling in?
Nice. Only flooded twice. So.
Really? That's pretty good for the first month.
It's the third flood that really, sends you over the top.
Oh, my word. Welcome to Texas. And Sean, how are you, buddy?
I am very well.
Nice. We didn't record last week.
We did. It's actually been a while since we've been in the studio.
It's been like 2-3 weeks, I think.
Yeah.
Conferences and everything else.
Is this the first? Well, you guys had an episode that I couldn't make after our keynote. We just released the episodes for Topodot.
Yep.
And I wish we could I think we can get our hands on the video of that keynote speech, but we have to put it out there, self-plug. We'll get used to it, that if you do have an upcoming conference and you would like a couple jamokes like us to do a little presentation, or, we can fill a solid 30 or a tight hour, whatever you need.
We crushed it for an hour.
We did. We really did.
And that wasn't even our best.
No. That was the first run.
I can only imagine how it's going to be the next time.
I can guarantee you it'll get better next time.
Indeed.
So reach out, info@thegeoholics.com if you're interested in that. Mr. Grow, what is new with you, my friend?
Oh, gosh, not a ton. I mean, not a ton that I can even remember at this point. I've just been so busy with work. It's been insane in a good way. It's all good. Everything's good. Been doing a lot of traveling. And there's just a lot of things in the works. I'm super excited. A lot of things in the works. Topodot Song of the Week. Topodot is the industry leader in digital twin production from point cloud data, but did you know that Topodot offers a total data governance solution for free?
I've heard that's called TopoShare.
TopoShare it is. Take control of your data with TopoShare. TopoShare turns your data into valuable long-term asset. To find out more, go to topodot.com. And if you listen to the latest release, day 2 of Tuck 25, we have Ted's lovely wife on there.
Yes.
That was a great interview.
Robin spent some time with us.
Yes, she did.
She's really the brains behind the operation, we found out.
You said it, not me. What was that song again, Sean?
Everybody knows. Yeah, right.
Yeah, if Ted's watching live right now, he's blowing your phone up.
Yeah. I don't think he'll disagree at all. That was Black Sabbath, song called Iron Man. Obviously, it's in the beginning. Black Sabbath, British heavy metal band formed in Birmingham in 1968 by guitarist Tony. Is that Iommi? Tony Iommi. Bassist Geezer Butler, drummer Bill Ward, and vocalist Ozzy Osbourne. Widely regarded as one of the pioneers of heavy metal, the band developed a dark, heavy sound characterized by down-tuned guitar riffs and themes of doom, war, and the occult. Black Sabbath's influence on
awesome.
metal is unparalleled, and they were inducted in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in 2006.
Wow. Yeah, big fan. Big fan. Never saw him, unfortunately. I've seen Ozzy a couple times, and of course, he sung some Black Sabbath songs, but did not see Black Sabbath. Of course, Larry did, though.
Yes, I did.
Multiple occasions.
Yes, multiple.
Tell that story real quick.
So I've seen them with Ozzy.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen them with Ronnie James Dio. I've seen them with a singer from Deep Purple,
Oh, yeah.
Ian Gillan.
Yep.
So
What was the best version? Ozzy?
Oh, Ozzy was definitely the best.
Yeah.
And fun fact,
Yep.
for my kids, their first concert that they've ever been to,
Yep.
I took both my boys to Black Sabbath.
No, that's awesome.
We talk about that a little bit because going to your first concert is one of those core memories. And
That's
you have ingrained, my dad took me
Good
to, I
one.
think it was a Leonard Skinner concert
Okay.
in Raleigh, North Carolina,
That's
way
awesome.
back in the
It's a good
day.
one.
And I'll never forget it. I mean, we tailgated with some KFC and, some Pepsis, but I
Yep.
was 14 or something, but
Awesome.
I'll never forget it. So kudos to you, Larry, for getting your kids out there and something that and at that point it's going to be like the coolest story they can tell their friends. Like, oh
Yep.
man, I went to a Black Sabbath concert.
Awesome.
My dad took me, and yeah.
So cool. So cool. We got to go around the horn on this one. Nick, what was your first concert?
Actual first concert I really cared about, it was 8th grade. It was Third Eye Blind. My
Oh.
mom drove our minivan. Actually, it was an Astro van, like the old GMC. If it was white, totally was like the van everybody would report when it drove into your neighborhood.
Nice.
So she shows up, she drops us off, and there was like 6 of us, and we saw Third Eye Blind.
Wow. Did the van have a heart-shaped bed in the back?
Not that I remember. I was
No.
assumed
Dude, that's weird. This mom's van.
Those vans, though. All those vans had like shag carpet and homemade beds in the back. It was the best.
What about you, Mike? What was your first concert?
Well, I'm not sure what my first was, but the most memorable concert from when I was young was GWAR, Gwar.
Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah.
That was weird.
Hey, this is
Old
a,
metalhead.
politically correct. Like kids, we don't want to hear what happened at that show.
It is-
Hmm? Yes. Yes. That was a good one. My first concert, I believe, it was like the Loop Rock Fest, as a matter of fact. And it was Quarter Flash, Shooting Star, Judas Priest, and Red Rider.
That's some good
It was
stuff.
the Loop Rock Fest. Yes. It was a good one. You guys like, who the hell are those
I mean,
people?
I know Judas Priest, but other than that, you got me for a loss.
We can't skip over what Mike said. Mike mentioned GWAR. GWAR is
Yeah.
So if Ozzy Osbourne eats bat heads,
Yeah. Gore eats the rest.
Yes.
Okay.
Oh,
I
so
think
funny.
We didn't want to fly over that too quickly.
Yeah, no, good stuff. All right, we are, of course, in the Altair studio. Altair Central is the authorized premier Trimble dealer for survey, mapping, GIS, forensics, and marine equipment in Texas, Oklahoma, Arizona, and New Mexico. They also offer field supplies and can deliver them right to your job site, all backed by a service department with one of the fastest turnarounds in the nation. To find out more, go to altaircentral.com. Oh, you're going to love this next one. This is the
I know.
Hexagon Weekly Pro Tip. Hexagon is a global leader in digital reality solutions. Their solutions are utilized across various industries, including manufacturing, infrastructure, public sector, and mobility applications to enhance efficiency, productivity, quality, and safety. And Hexagon Live is less than 2 weeks away.
It is.
We will be there.
We will.
Super excited. Be there for a couple days. Really looking forward to that one. Our first time there. The dates of that are June 16th through the 19th. And of course, we'll be in Las Vegas.
It will be.
Super excited to find out more. Go to hexagon.com. What do you got for us?
And be sure to stop by the
by
Geoholics
the booth,
booth.
yeah.
Say hi if you happen
Please
to
do.
be there.
Yeah. We're going to be in a great spot and we're going to have tons of swag and doing Geoholic stuff.
We are going to have tons of swag.
We're going to give away whatever we have left.
Good. Because I haven't ordered anything yet. So, very timely quote this week. GeoNet is prepared for the robot invasion of 2025.
Here we
that was
are.
by our good friend, Mr. Mike Horton, project creator of Geonet.
Well, we're gonna have to circle back on that because I got to know where that one.
So
came
many,
from.
so many questions.
So many questions. All right, time for the NLC prep question to make you think. NLC prep for those dedicated to passing their land surveying exam in the very first try. I know many people that have. Here is the question.
Just got to ask real quick. Have we been giving out the prizes for those that have been emailing? And you don't even have to mail anything. You just need an email address to virtually send them a gift card.
Hold, please. We put this on my list of things to do. Send out the gift cards. Blah, blah, blah. I'll get that taken care of. The answer is no. Hey, how are you? Good to see you.
All right, here we go. Which of the following best describes how GPS determines a receiver's location? Sorry, my wife just walked in front of our camera, but that's okay. Which of the following best describes how GPS determines a receiver's location? Is it A, by measuring the Earth's magnetic field at different points on the surface? B, by calculating the time it takes for signals from multiple satellites to reach the receiver? C, by triangulating signals from nearby cell towers? Or D, by using reflected light waves from the Earth's surface?
So I'm going to fathom a guess here and say that there are at least 4 people on the show tonight that can answer this question
There's
correctly.
at least 4 people. Wait, hang on. 1, 2. Oh, yeah. I know where this is going.
All right, my favorite part of the show.
And I am offended. There should be 5.
See you guys. Bye, Evelyn.
The camera's right there.
Eee.
Bye, Evelyn. Good to see you.
See ya.
See ya.
She's so sweet. All right.
yeah.
My favorite part of the show, the GeoNet count of the week. This is always so much fun because the number of satellite miners goes up exponentially every single week. And we are going to find out everything we need to know about GeoNet. As you know, GeoNet is the world's largest blockchain-based RTK network providing RTK service precise enough for professional survey, construction, and drone operation.
Here we go. Current count. Man, I mean, there's
Hold
been,
on, though, but
there's
guess
been
what?
a lot of activity here.
If you went on the website right now, it'd probably be more because this is actually from last week because we were going to record the show last week. So, but go
Well,
ahead.
let's say it's probably more than these numbers.
Yes.
But I'll go ahead and do it because this is the latest and greatest data that we have. Current count, 16,946 satellite miners. I bet you that's over 17,000 now. Up from 16,432 last week, over 4,500 cities, 145 countries. To find out more, geonet.com. Be sure to click on the Find a Hex tab to see if you can put one on your house or place of business and start making money. I gotta ask, update from Mr. Grow. How's that? How is that getting that miner up on your house in Pine going?
We ordered 2.
Oh,
Ordered 2.
okay. So
They're en route.
They're
bought and paid for.
14 clicks, other than the 7 clicks that you did last time. So you've clicked enough to order them,
Yes.
and they're en route.
They're en route.
Okay.
Yes. I would expect them to show up any day.
And we bought 2.
Bought 2.
Okay.
So next time I go to Pine, that's when I'll put it back up.
Okay.
That's when I'll put it up. So
Okay.
I'll give you an update on that when it happens.
I'm going to ask every single week what the update is, regardless of
I know.
what your answer.
I look forward to that.
Because the next step is it's going to show up, and then it's going to sit in a box. And then I'm going to give you shit about it until you actually get it out of the box and get it in.
Yes.
I'm going
Yes.
to challenge you right now. I just got my GeoNet.
Yeah.
And,
Nice.
And we want to throw down a little wager that I get mine up like at least a month and a half before you.
I will take
first of
the
all-
over on a month and a half.
That's what she said. And I don't even have mine yet. So we can't start the clock.
I can wait, but check it out.
Okay.
It's all inclusive.
Nice.
Well, you let me know
Nice.
when it shows up.
And also, to be honest with you, when I heard that you got one, I'm like, this is perfect. I'm going to let Nick be the guinea pig, let him put it up, and I can learn everything that he learned while doing it and make my life so much easier.
Sure. Isn't there like a special promo
There
you've
is a
got going
promo,
on
yes.
between GeoNet and Bad Elf?
There is indeed. GeoNet and Bad Elf have teamed up to provide an amazing offer. So for $999.99, why don't you guys just make it $1,000? What's the marketing behind that, Larry?
Sounds better.
It's not 1,000. It's
Yeah,
$999.
Well, so what you're supposed to say is for less tthan $1,000.
Yes, yes, genius. You can get the GeoNet RTK service for 5 years. 5 years. If my math is correct, that's what, a little under $200 a year. A hair just a hair under $200 here. GeoNet is also offering to place a base station, should there not be a station, within 40-kilometer radius of your operating area with a commitment to 1 5-year subscription. Easy peasy. Find out more. Go to bad-elf.com/GeoNet. All right. We're almost there. Let me catch my breath. Our guests tonight are, of course, sponsored by David Evans and Associates. What sets DEA apart, even more than the quality of their work, is the quality of their relationships and the commitments they make. The DEA difference is reflected in 6 commitments and the seriousness with which they make them. Those commitments are clarity of expectations, effective communication, accountability, collaboration, creativity, trust. To find out more, go to DEAINC.com. Let's get these guys in here. This is going to be fun.
Well, we've already heard from anyway, but now we can do our official intros.
Yes. So we have Mike Horton with us. Mike was born in Austin, Texas. He attended UC Berkeley. Hobbies include Chinese language studies.
Gonna have to hear about that.
Very interesting. And he is the project creator of GeoNet, which, by the way,
I've never heard of GeoNet.
absolutely genius. I remember when he first told us about this, I was like, I had to sit back in my chair because I'm like, what? This is an absolute game changer. We also have Larry Fox with us. Larry, welcome back.
Thank you so much.
You're a veteran of the show at this point, right? Is this number 5 at least?
This is at least number 5.
I would say, yeah. I think you're supposed to get a jacket or something when you're on here 5 times. Is that what we decided, Sean?
Yeah. I think that jacket's in the mail.
Yeah.
You should put that in your
Let me
phone with,
list in the
with
order.
gift
Larry,
cards,
a
yeah.
jacket. Right, it's in there. Larry's born in the north side of Chicago. Thank God. Attended DeVry, Chicago, University of New Mexico, Albuquerque, University of Phoenix. Hobbies include flying light aircraft versus heavy aircraft, woodworking, and 3D printing. He is the VP of Marketing and Business Development for the one and only Bad-Elf.
You know what? I just had a quick idea.
Yes.
You know what? And it shouldn't be a jacket. It should be a Geoholics safety vest for your 5-year.
Maybe. Yeah, we can do that.
I like that idea.
Or a leotard. Geoholics leotard.
Have you seen Larry?
Yeah, I'm looking at him right now.
Yeah, I'll go with the safety
I'll go
vest.
with the safety vest.
It's a safety
Well, guys, Mike. Mike and Larry, welcome to the show. Mike, so good to see you. As I mentioned, where did we meet you at? Was it
Intergeo.
No, it was in
Geo? I think it was for the first time. And like I said a few minutes ago, when I first found out about GeoNet and what you were doing with that, I was taken back. And to be honest with you, the rest of the show, that's all I could think about is what Mike was doing with GeoNet. Super excited to hear more about that. And Larry, of course, you guys at Bad Elf are absolutely killing it. Things are going well. This partnership with GeoNet makes absolute perfect sense.
And before these guys get on, we have to thank both of you for being friends of the program. It means a lot. It allows us to do all these cool things and allows us to be in this studio. So we don't say it enough, but thank you both for being trusted and valued friends of the program.
You are so welcome.
Indeed. So, Mike, real quick, circle back on the Chinese studies thing. How did you get? How did
That's
that
the first
come
thing
up?
we want to know about.
How did you
Well,
become passionate about that?
Yeah, so I started doing business a long time ago, off and on through my career. Done quite a lot of different business with China. They are a powerhouse, as you know, in geospatial technology, but also a lot of sensor stuff. So I spent a lot of time on inertial measurement. Had a company that we had a business that was kind of half DoD related, half commercial. We sold the commercial piece actually to a Chinese semiconductor company back in 2011 or so. So that's what got me started, is that whole journey. And then it just sort of became a hobby. It's kind of relaxing. There's a lot of characters to learn. You never learn them all. And it's pretty useful for business. So it just kind of got the bug and been working on it for over 15 years. It's a hard language.
Yeah, I can imagine. I can barely speak English, let alone that.
And I like how you stumbled over that sentence too.
What?
I couldn't imagine. Could not imagine. And Larry, every time you're on the show, we have to talk a little bit about your 3D printing hobby. Are you still involved in that? Have you got a new monster 3D printer where you're like printing off car parts and stuff?
I still print a ton of things for all of our accessory lines. So anytime we do a
Nice.
new widget that holds a GPS receiver to a phone or a thing, it's cranking on my 3D printer, and
It's cool.
It's kind of one of those crazy hobbies where I keep modifying it and making it better, and I'm insane with it, but that's okay. It's a healthy hobby.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. A lot of other things you could do to get you in a lot more trouble. That's for
Oh,
sure.
amen there.
Yeah, yeah. All right, let's get into this a little bit here. What inspired the creation of Bad Elf and GeoNet? And like, Mike, I want you to go first. Like, what got you to this point? What was the aha moment where you're like, this is what I'm doing. This is what the world needs. Let's see what happens.
Yeah, so I've been in the field of navigation and positioning my whole career, and applying those technologies to things like automated vehicles and robotics, and also traditional applications like survey and agriculture. And the RTK signal is so powerful and so useful, but it's been pretty hard to get and pretty expensive,
Hmm.
and there hasn't been coverage everywhere. And we saw a lot of new needs, like in the consumer marketplace, even for things like robotic lawnmowers coming. We saw the cost of the kind of core chipset for RTK coming way down, and we realized that there was an opportunity to make this something that was super accessible and affordable, and kind of something you could just expect when you turn on a device to just work, if there were enough stations.
Yep.
And so we started to think about how to get all these base stations out there. And the first thing we thought about was, well, maybe we could put them on cell towers.
Hmm.
And so we called up some cell tower companies. There's one called American Tower, another one called Crown Castle. And we found out that was going to cost us, maybe $5,000-$10,000 a year per station. We're like, oh,
Oh, wow.
that's going to be expensive. Then we started thinking, well, there must be cheaper places. So we started calling around to churches and to public storage places, and we found out that was going to be quite expensive. And a lot of these places like wanted permits and drawings, and we realized, man, building out a global scale network was going to be really tough. And then we saw sort of a movement going on within the Web3 and blockchain community to start building physical infrastructure. And there was a well-known project at the time, still very well-known, still kind of the OG of the space, called Helium, that was doing it for LoRa, and then subsequently has been doing it for Wi-Fi and mobile signal coverage, incentivizing people to purchase their own hardware and put up the station on their place in order to earn tokens that can be converted to cash, and that kind of represent an interest in the project. And we decided to give that model a go, and it's just taken off. And I think we now we're actually up to 18,000 stations actually. So it's just
Oh, Miss
Wow.
we cannot keep up.
Crazy.
It
I
is
was
just grow-
17,986 by the way.
That is
Yeah.
amazing.
It's just grown and grown and grown, and the utility is really there. It really works. The stations are truly high quality, triple frequency, NGS calibrated antennas, and it's just a really good way to get the coverage and the accessibility there that then enables folks like Bad Elf to make their equipment easier to use, and also I think is going to enable a lot of new consumer experiences that involve high precision location. Because let's face it, without RTK, GPS just isn't that accurate or that reliable. Certainly not nearly good enough for survey work, but there are a lot of other things that's not good enough for either. Hell, I mean, half the time I try to get an Uber, it's thinks I'm over here, over there, and it can be quite stressful. If you're in an urban environment and there's a ton of people around trying to just get your Uber to get you at the right spot. So I think there's a lot of different applications for precise location, and we hope that GeoNet can continue to build some of those applications out.
What are some of those applications that you mentioned there that are kind of cool? I think when we first talked about it, maybe I'm totally losing it, but I thought there was something about like autonomous lawnmowers or something like that. Or is that applications?
Yeah, that's absolutely there. Yeah, we're working with most of the, I think, the companies in autonomous lawnmowers. There's one, Verde.ai, that you can get a nice robot right off the shelf for today. There are a number of other ones coming out. It's very useful for that. I find autonomous lawn mowing to be quite nice because it can cut every day for you. Your yard ends up looking like a golf green, so that's pretty nifty.
I have to say, and not to interrupt you, Mike, but I have to say, in the last 2 weeks, the GPS-enabled automated lawnmower, has been on my TikTok feed. And
No way.
$5,000, I can have that in my. Right now, it's $5,000, and
I can get you one
and it says it
for
and
under
it.
$1,000.
And now we're talking.
Now we're
Yeah.
Ready to
Just
plug
got to
and
know the
play
right
with
people,
GeoNet.
Sean.
So I get you one. It works great. Under $1,000. Turn it on. Download an app. Download the Verity app from the App Store. Map your yard and go. It's really easy.
That's awesome.
And once
So
you
cool.
have your GeoNet
Sold.
station up, you can be using your own station. You know, you won't know because it all works behind the scenes. You just install the app and go. But behind the scenes, you'll be using your own station for that mower. So that's kind of a cool thing.
So here's the big question:
That's
is
crazy.
I'm actually thinking about moving. We may be close to that, and even my old house or new house. Still, my yard is, I don't know, about the size of this studio. You know, it's got about enough grass for like 6 solid passes. Is that too small to have a
Yes,
GPS
it
enabled?
We call
absolutely
that,
is.
Sean, we call that lazy.
But it just sounds so cool.
I was going to ask. I've got fake grass in my backyard. I want to get one just to see it tool around. I think it'd be cool.
Yeah,
Well,
just
we
to-
have there's another robot.
it'll
out
sweep
for
it,
that.
right?
There's another robot out that one of a project we work with called Frodobots, which is a real Web3 project. It's not trying to do things for kind of survey or even cut your yard. It's really an experience where you can drive a little robot around. It's got 2 cameras, and you just drive it around essentially. And you look for things in the environment like geocache things. You can get some NFTs from it. But what they do with that is the data they collect for that is actually used for AI training. So on the one side of the marketplace is people playing with these little, they call them earth miners, because you're kind of mining up earth data.
Interesting.
And on the other side is AI researchers, and they actually have some quite famous AI researchers using the data from it. In fact, this professor at Berkeley who started a company called Physical Intelligence, which is massively funded AI company working on things like humanoid robot AI, has been a big proponent of this Frodobots project. So it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool.
That's a terrifying phrase, by the way. Humanoid robot AI.
I call them the super predator of robots, right?
Oh, that's even worse.
I think they
Even
are.
worse.
I do think some of this robotic stuff, and we're involved with so many of those companies in that field, it is terrifying. And it is kind of like, well, it's coming. They're
Yeah.
coming. And
Strap
there's no
in.
stopping it, but some of it is terrifying.
So let's jump into that real quick before we dive into our other friends. The quote was, "The robots are coming, and GeoNet is prepared."
Yep.
And we talk a lot about where we think this is going, what's going to happen with it, and I think we have a very unique perspective with you, Mike. Like, and it sounds like you're already partnering with tons of people. But what are some of the highlights of what you are seeing? And you're already on the front edge, so what you are seeing with applications in this technology and AI robots in general.
Yeah, I mean,
Loaded question. I
Good
know.
question.
There are 4 broad categories. I think you've got the drones, you've got small robots for security, lawn mowing, delivery. You've got full self-driving vehicles, which are really coming out of the kind of testing phase into real hardcore use case. I think Uber and Lyft now, they're on track to be surpassed by Waymo in San Francisco. Like more people are riding the Waymos, which are the fully driverless cars. Not quite yet, but almost.
I
there.
bet you that we're a year away from that in Phoenix. I mean,
Yeah.
it is literally, how long does it take the Waymo to get here? If it's over 20 minutes, okay, fine, I'll take an Uber. If it's
Yeah.
under 20 minutes, we'll take the robot.
Yeah.
You
So-
saw today that literally Elon Musk is back in court with his robo taxi AI taxi service.
Really?
Mike, do you know about that? I'm sure you
I didn't see that news today, but yeah, he's been working hard on it in the Austin area, and I think that's really exciting. It's my hometown, so I hope to be hopping on those soon. And then the
So
last
cool.
but not least are the humanoid and the dogs. And I think in the field of survey, right, dogs are making a big impact. We work a lot with Drone Deploy. Drone Deploy is one of our customers that uses the GeoNet service, and the name's Drone Deploy, but they support dogs as well, and they say that there's actually quite decent traction. I think humanoids are even sexier and even attracting huge interest. Some of those use cases are, purely indoors, but others will be mixed. And I think also they're just such a sort of reflection of where we're at technology wise, that you can throw on all these cameras, lidars, have all this robotic control to locomote, to manipulate things, and then tie that in with AI. I do think it's both really exciting, and it's also pretty terrifying. So I call the humanoids the apex predators. The robots.
Well, and we're just scratching the surface on this stuff. That's the thing. And Mike, kudos to you for jumping right in and being a part of it. Super exciting stuff going on there. Larry, let's get you into this conversation. It's when I hear Mike's story, I see a lot of parallels with Bad Elf, and when it comes to like making GPS more affordable, making RTK more affordable and accessible, that type thing. So that being the case, like this partnership that you guys have with GeoNext just makes perfect sense. How did this come about?
It was actually a chance meeting at a trade show. One of my colleagues met up with Mike and passed along his information and said, "Hey, you guys should chat." And I think from out of the gate, we really hit it off. I think one of the things that we always focused on was trying to democratize this world of GNSS, and probably an overused word, but I'm going to use it anyway because that's what we do.
Yeah, Larry, that was the buzzword from 3 years ago. Come on.
Well, we're still doing it.
Yeah, we're
So-
still doing it.
I still got a hat, and somebody pays me, so it works. No, I mean, legitimately, there's some challenges that Mike brought up with the whole world of RTK. I mean, there's a lot of antiquated systems out there that are GPS and GLONASS only, for example. They're not modern. They're not capable of multiple, triple frequency. We chose a route that actually uses some of the more modern signals, and a lot of the state networks didn't even work with that. This, for example, with GeoNet, we have no problem whatsoever. Actually, quite amazing. I mean, from the moment we started testing with it, it was like, oh, yeah, this just works. But the other thing that you might have seen, in the survey world is most state networks are not very dense. So coverage, if you're in a major metro, generally not a problem. But if you happen to go up to Pine, for example, you might want to actually have a station nearby because, everything's a function of baseline distance. And, with them having that many miners online, especially in more rural areas now, using RTK is really practical. And finally, there's just the price point. I mean, it fits very well with our products. It fits very well with the mantra. It's super easy to use with the products. There's a lot of other systems out there, but quite frankly, Mike and I have been out in the field and we stand over monuments and we've tested some pretty extensive stuff, and boy, it hums along and produces results that are really, really super consistent.
That's amazing. Was there like on your side, Larry, when this partnership came about and you were doing the testing, what was it on your end? Like, did you have to do like some tweaks to the software in order to recognize the GeoNet network? I mean, what does that look like?
We had to do nothing.
No kidding.
We have a built-in Ntrip client, and it just worked.
Amazing.
We discovered a few things because GeoNet does some special things with other partners that, we had to accommodate later in life. But for the most part, it was almost a business relationship and not a technology thing. We were prepared. They were prepared. Their infrastructure was like a rock, and it just worked.
It just keeps getting better, right?
Yes, it keeps getting better.
Amazing.
I have a station up on top of our office,
Oh, do you?
and so I have the install.
You got the
experience as
secret
well.
sauce.
Yes,
Okay.
I do.
Good,
Yeah. By the way,
Good.
can't relate to Larry's. I mean, Larry's a super smart guy, and well, let's be honest, us two are
not super
so
smart.
if Larry says it's super easy, it's somewhat. It's probably easy, just not as Larry easy.
Probably kind of difficult for me.
Yeah, exactly.
So, Nick, piggyback onto this, your experience with GeoNet so far, what you're hearing, out in the field, that type thing.
Yeah, I just want to make a quick dad joke. Larry said it was a rock. It was easy to build on, but it was actually a geode.
Ah, there you go.
That's pretty good.
And so we also set up a base station from GeoNet at our Bernie location outside of San Antonio. And we literally had it up in a few hours. You literally just have to run power to this thing. I bought a $25 antenna mount that kind of went out from the outside of a facade of a building around the,
Mm-hmm.
kind of the lip. And that was all I needed. And we were set up within a few hours. I believe 24 to 48 hours later, GeoNet had us online, and Larry was making money. I was not. But we had it set up.
Nice, Larry. Nice.
but but the reality is, I am not a nuclear engineer, a double E like Larry, and we were able to get it set up within a few hours. And since then, it's been a really easy. Now, outside of Bad Elf, outside of joking, in our local office, what I have to say is GeoNet is one of the largest networks of real-time kinematic corrections throughout the globe. They have access on most of the continents and most of the big cities. And as you heard Mike mention earlier, there's a program in which if you go somewhere that there is not a base station, they have many ways in which they want to deploy base stations at a fraction of the cost. Something up to 90+% discounts on a base station, because at the end of the day, from what I understand, Mike, and correct me if I'm wrong, the goal is, as we advance into the future with location-based devices and autonomous everything, we need stations everywhere. It's not we need 6 per state, cores, you know what I mean? So Mike, maybe talk to us about
Yeah, I
that.
mean, we've been working to make sure that there's really coverage everywhere that's legally, to operate RTK base stations, which is most of the world. Um, and I think we've done an incredible job in Europe. I mean, there's over 8,000 stations in Europe. The U.S.
Wow.
is not far behind. The U.S. has a lot more kind of open space areas, and some of those are
Mm.
gonna, taking time. But I think we have more stations in the U.S. than any other provider for sure, and definitely that short baseline distance that you get in most locations is really attractive for accuracy. And then we've had a lot of success in agriculture, and in fact, even the USDA runs a GeoNet node and has done a lot of work
Wow.
on GeoNet, and has been really promoting it with small farmers. And that traction in smaller farmers is really helping fill in rural coverage. So you see them popping up all the time. I think over 200 were installed this season alone. Last season was also a big thin push, and a lot of farmers use it every day, especially right now. It's the season. So I think that's been a really good market that is, I think, helping get food on the table affordably, and helping guys who couldn't maybe afford the expensive equipment of the past.
And I just want to jump in there too, on the, and you probably have this data, Mike, but what we were just saying, it was 14,000 last week or 2 weeks ago. Now it's over 18. So as you're seeing this, after you get past 50, let's say 15,000, the new ones that you're seeing, is it predominantly going further into rural areas, or is it more in the urban hexes?
I think it is a lot in the rural areas. The rewards mechanism and how you earn money running GeoNet stations, it really incentivizes new coverage. So you want to be, as you were talking about earlier, you want to kind of be in an open spot where there isn't one if you want to maximize your earnings with GeoNet. So that naturally pulls things away. And then we do incentives. As Nick was saying, we do incentives to kind of bring stations to areas where maybe it's not naturally occurring as quickly. So we just kind of been working, for example, on Brazil. We have a number of customers that want station coverage in Brazil. We've run some programs to get coverage in Brazil, and I think we're up over 200 stations now.
Wow.
And in the south of Brazil, in the farming areas of Brazil. So that really works really well.
Nick?
I gotta jump in. So in the 20 years that I've been doing this, this is the plug. I'm sorry. I'll be quiet after this. But Bad Elf.
No, you won't.
We meant it. I'm gonna sell it right now. I can't help this.
Do it.
For $1,000, you get access for 5 years. And Kent even was able to do the math earlier. That's $200 a year.
A little bit less. A little bit less.
Yes, it's
Yes.
$199 and about 25 cents or so, or 20, whatever. I'm not smart either. However, if you usually pay for third-party systems like this, you're talking into the multiple thousands of dollars a year. We're not just talking like 10% discount. We are talking, this is a game changer. And I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, Mike, this speaks to GeoNet's desire to change the market. You can't have killer AI robots and your grass being cut without everything knowing where everything is. And I think it's a really neat mission that GeoNet has kind of endeavored upon. The whole, cryptocurrency thing, I think Mike might know this, but, for 7 years, I had a cryptocurrency rig. I was mining Ethereum in my basement.
Oh, wow.
I tried to convince Bad Elf to let me use their free electricity in Scottsdale, but they didn't let me do it at the time. But I get it. It's really neat, but I want to say one more thing. You don't need to get involved with the cryptocurrency side of this. That is one side of the business that's really neat. If you are a state and local government, if you're a federal agency out there and you just need service, you don't need to get into a model where you're trying to make money off of it. You can get into a model where Bad Elf and GeoNet will support your devices, right? You need to deploy 500 devices of RTK. We can do that. So I just want to say GeoNet has kind of changed this game. It's epically affordable, and we need this as we kind of traverse into this world of mixed reality, augmented reality, things driving itself. So there's my pitch. Sorry.
And that's well said, because I want to jump in what just to piggyback on what you said. You said a couple thousand a year. What not only that is, if you're a business manager like me, is managing multiple businesses, and okay, we need some survey equipment, and we need whatever. A lot of times they just slip that shit in there, like, oh yeah, by the way, you need a $2,000 whatever service to make your GPS units. Like there are other options out there, and especially shouldn't be as expensive. And I love that this model not only is much more attractive to get into from the beginning, but it's meant to extend coverage, not just kind of silo people of like, wait, no, you have to have this. If you bought that equipment, you have to have this, and that's it. And that's not the case.
So this is privatizing RTK, correct?
Yeah, it's privatizing. In a way, it's making it a public service too. You can think of it a bit like when you use the internet, right? There's a service called the DNS, which maps your domain name, like geoholics.com, to some IP address. And that service is supported by computers. Anyone can run a DNS server. Anyone can set one up and run it up. And that decentralization of that service makes it very reliable. So, if someone's computer goes down, you can still find geoholics.com because there's many, many DNS servers in there. That's kind of the way we think of GeoNet. It's a protocol that allows people to run these stations and contribute the data. And then we're managing on the back end a set of servers that are checking all the data, that are calculating all the precise coordinates, getting them into the data, making sure that the data is reliable before it's served out. But that's all kind of decentralized and run in the network. And that keeps the service reliable, and it lets it scale. We don't, when you go set up a station, you don't have to call us and say, hey, I'm adding a station here. It all takes care of itself. It'll automatically come online. It'll automatically get its precise coordinate. It'll automatically be in service. And if something goes wrong, it'll automatically be taken out of service. So you don't have to lose sleep at night thinking about, is Joe's station going to be online? No, it handles all that for you. So I think because the world is big and this is geospatial, it's not easy for even a huge company to manage tens of thousands of stations. It's just not easy to do that in a centralized way. You need a marching army to try to do that. And there's a lot of things that are localized that just in terms of logistics and payments and things that are so much better handled at a local level. And by using a protocol, which is really what a blockchain element is, it allows that to happen reliably without a central party in the middle.
So interesting. Do you have something, or I got some?
I mean, I have a thousand things, but go ahead.
I wanted to ask
I got a
Mike.
few things too.
So, Mike, real quick, you mentioned like the USDA, get involved and stuff like that. Follow you on LinkedIn, of course. And if anybody's not following you on LinkedIn, be sure to connect with Mike Horton on LinkedIn. And you're like, I see you like you're on Capitol Hill, in front of different committees talking about different things. Can you fill us in on some of the cool stuff that might be going on at that level?
Yeah, well, I think that there are a lot of new use cases coming up for Web3 and crypto, and GeoNet has risen kind of to the top of that stack as one that it's easy for, I think, the legislators to relate to and understand how it's providing a public benefit. And so that's called us up to testify about the use cases of real world use cases of crypto. And that's where that came from. And I think it's going well. There's a specific bill that's being worked on by both the House Financial Services Committee and the House Agriculture Committee, which is kind of comes from the commodity side. So one of the big debates in crypto is a token a security or is it a commodity? And anyway, it's all going on. And there's a bill called FIT 21, which is like a financial innovation and technology bill that will set up what's called market structure, which will further kind of make it easier to determine whether a token is a commodity or a security and how it's there and regulated. So that's all going on, and those are the hearings that are taking place. And most people anticipate that sometime either before the end of the year or early 2026 that will pass. That will further legitimize the use of Web3 across a wide variety of applications. So we're really looking forward to that. It is kind of frustrating when people look at crypto and they're like, oh gosh, it's just meme coins and people, kind of scamming each other. There is some of that in there. Admittedly, there's some of that in there, and I'd love to see it go away. And the way to get it to go away is to have good, sensible regulation that says, look, this is what you can do, this is what you can't do. I think it's pretty clear. Why we get called up is this is the kind of use case that everyone wants to see happen and wants to see more of. And there are a lot of other opportunities. It's not just RTK. There's opportunities in robotics itself. There's opportunities in energy. There's opportunities in rural broadband and a lot of places where people can contribute. I mean, people have homes, they have cars, they have rooftop space. These are assets that are valuable, and there should be a way for people to, make some passive income from those assets. And I think that's really great. And I think blockchain is the way to kind of make those things happen.
Yeah, no doubt. You guys, Larry?
Well,
Nick?
I want to piggyback on it because the reason why we got so enamored by this was, I think this is the first time you finally like connected something tangible to crypto. Like it was like you finally got
That's
it.
true.
Like, oh, I can now understand kind of what this is. And is that, Mike, what you're seeing now is what's in the kind of the future of that market is more application to something that people can actually relate to other than memes and just let's call it fake stuff.
I think it's really important that the industry, and I'm really excited to see this FIT 21 bill being worked on. I would love to see more emphasis on that. There is still a big sort of casino contingent. Let's go trade meme coins. And I mean, I get it. I think it's kind of fun in a way, and it definitely tests the technology. A lot of the technology that works so well that we utilize was developed by sort of debugging. I think a lot of analogies people use in the early day of the internet, right? I guess the secret thing is a lot of it was mostly porn before sort of all these mainstream web apps came out, and people use that analogy. And I hope that's the way that things evolve, that there's more and more use cases like GeoNet. And it seems to be headed that way, and certainly good legislation will help that.
Go ahead, Nick.
Yeah, I just have to jump back into the fact that like somebody who literally invested into a mining system. So
I thought he was going to say invested into porn.
Yeah, we don't know why he invested into that, but
But
We
yeah,
could talk about that in a
Nick is like so soft spoken tonight,
I
isn't he?
know. Well, it's because he's in this new house and he's surrounded by all this nature and he
Yeah.
just has this different
It's almost
disposition anymore.
like he's
I, m-
singing the
I
words.
miss the
It's
old
weird.
Nick where he was in a small
Yes.
trailer and he was completely stressed out about whether he could build this house or not. Now it's here and it's like, ah.
when you're filming the porn in the trailer.
Hey, it's what moves the needle, right?
And building crypto all at the same time.
Right.
No. So before I lived in a trailer, I actually had a house in Phoenix.
Down by the river.
About a house.
I absolutely could fit in the jacket. I did not rip it. But no. So I spent $3,500 about 8 years ago, and I built a crypto rig and with the best NVIDIA cards at the time. I mined about 17 Ethereum by the time I was done with it. And so my $3,000 investment, right now Ethereum trades at about $2,500 to $3,200
Yeah, I was about to
coin.
say. Yeah, I was about to say
So
3,500.
it's not a bad investment. My garage, I think, was built off of that cryptocurrency investment. So all I want to say is it's not some hocus pocus thing anymore. Blockchain just happens to be the most like secure way to send money to and from people. And I got to be honest, maybe I'm a little bit of a libertarian, but big banks have had enough.
Maybe.
And maybe the big banks don't need to have their cut in every little thing. And so my point is, I really appreciate this GeoNet kind of model. Now, Mike, actually, I should ask Larry, not Mike. I'm sorry, Larry, my boss. How much is the antenna making at the Bernie location per year, roughly, right now? If I was to trade GeoNet coin for, say, Bitcoin or Ethereum, what are you guessing right now? What are we making a year?
So, Mike, I think you'll have to correct me if I'm wrong, but if it's fully operational 24/7 and it's producing perfect data, I think based upon the current rates, it's somewhere around $1,800 a year. Does that sound about right?
Yeah, maybe a little bit lower, about $5 a day. So pretty close to that. Yeah.
So, Larry, did you hear that?
Interesting.
That's my next bonus pay raise level. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, Nick, congratulations. You have now earned yourself a $1,500 raise from last year's salary.
It's
That
not
was-
even a cost of
That
living
was
raise.
good negotiating.
But
That was really poor negotiating because I think cost of living was higher than that. But
did you hear what he said? $1,800. So for a $700 investment, if all the things work out, you are contributing to a network that's going to allow your lawnmower to drive itself. Not only that, like, both of you guys understand the expense of an RTK, kind of GPS piece of equipment, right? Like, that thing's going to cost somewhere between $6,000 and $45,000, right? And so you take that cost and you kind of break it out onto what an RTK station can make. So if you had a couple properties, like Sean, you have family back in North Carolina, grandma wants one, like everybody. So for $700, if by year one you make $1,800 to $2,000, by the halfway year point, you're making money. And so tell me the stock market that is that stable. A lot of critique I hear about blockchain and cryptocurrencies, it's not stable and it's not based on something like gold, which the United States government hasn't had gold in any secure location in 30, 40 years. My point is, this is very established. There's nothing weird about this. In fact, it's so established that look at what GeoNet has done in just a matter of a few years. You guys have become one of the biggest name brands.
I appreciate the plug, Dr. Nick. And I also wanted to say we should all listen to you because you mined Ethereum early. And I wish I would have done that. And I learned about actually all this blockchain stuff even before I got into GeoNet from my daughter, who was a real internet privacy buff for a while until she finally just got exhausted on it because it's basically impossible to maintain your privacy on the internet unless you live under a rock. But she tried very hard with Proton Mail and VPNs and torrenting and all this stuff for a long time and got me into the area. But Ethereum, it's a longer topic than this conversation, but it is such an incredibly important piece of technology that was created with that, because they took what Bitcoin had done and then they added this thing called the smart contract. And the smart contract is such a seminal innovation in the way, and it could have, I think, yet to come, huge impact in the survey industry way beyond GeoNet, because it establishes a mechanism to sort of agree on something,
Legitimize.
to
Right?
legitimize
It
something, and
legitimize,
to put something in public record in a way to validate that, in a way that to set criteria for what happens and when it happens, in a piece of code that then is verifiable across the entire internet, and anyone can kind of subscribe to that protocol and do that. So it's a very, very, very powerful thing that Ethereum created. So I congratulate you on your choice to mine that. They really, that protocol is really what created Bitcoin. Is this really incredible store of value type of token, but Ethereum sort of set this whole industry up to allow things like GeoNet to be. There's subsequent innovations and faster chains like Solana and many, many other chains that have come out of it. But the Ethereum project really, I think, did some amazing innovation in just what can be done with computers and computer science.
So I want to jump in, and I'm going to cut off Nick, and I'm going to cut off everybody, because we can talk about this for a while. I need to pull back a little bit, because I have to tell you, Mike, when we talk about this, and I've talked about this with a lot of people, and the idea of the RT Kit network is awesome. And as soon as I say, oh yeah, by the way, you can earn some crypto and all that, I lose about half the people I talk to.
Yeah,
And
so don't
because
bring it up.
and my and
Don't bring it up.
well, that's my
Don't bring
question.
it up. Don't bring it up.
Don't bring
That's
it
my
up.
question: is have you fought that
We do.
idea of some people are just like anti crypto
Yep.
for a variety of reasons, but they are probably very pro democratization of GPS and RTK network. How have you been able to navigate through that?
Yeah, I mean, I think we don't bring it up when we go to Energeo. If you go to our booth at Energeo, we're not talking about crypto. At CES, we're not talking about crypto. It is useful when you're trying to build the supply side, build what we call a supply side, meaning the number of stations. But we don't bring it up proactively. It is something that people are becoming more accepting of. I think there's a realization that this stuff is here to stay, and it has utility. And I think the regulation will help that, but we don't proactively bring it up, because not only does it sometimes people have a negative reaction to it, but it's just not necessary to know about, and it can confuse people. Like, oh, do I need to have a crypto wallet? Do I need to mine? No, you don't need to do any of that. You can just use it. And part of the hope I have with the Bad Elf relationship is that, it starts to just become part of the equipment. Like, why do I need to enter in all this in-trip information every time and try to figure out which network to connect onto and which datum to use? It's really unnecessarily complicated. And if the service were just available everywhere and affordable, you could just build it in as part of the equipment cost. And that's really what, the reason the 5 years I think is sort of magical is that's kind of probably, after 5 years, you might be upgrading your equipment anyway. So just make it part of the equipment, turn it on, and just get centimeter accuracy.
Are you saying I don't have to worry about what datum I'm on if I just get a GeoNet subscription and a Bad Elf Flex?
Maybe not.
Yes.
Yes. But Larry, don't blow your load. Sorry. But tell us how we make things easy.
There's only so much I could share right now, Nick, but the answer is that they do take care of that. So I have a follow-up.
See, I think that's a big point, guys.
Yeah, I mean, I know when I teach at ASU, I pound relentlessly on that particular topic. I know you're covering that stuff up. I'm okay with that because I work with those folks as well. U of A is good, but
it's okay. You can own your colors.
I'm going to own my colors. It's a really big problem. We work a lot with geospatial Professionals, and a lot of them do not come out of school with any concept of understanding that. GeoNet does a fabulous job at supporting multiple datums. Now, I do have a follow-up question at some point, but we're going to get off topic. So I did want to say one thing, though, for Mike, and maybe you can lean into this a little bit. We've been talking a lot about crypto, and we all understand, that there's this token concept tied to the GeoNet service. I'm going to take off my engineer hat and put on my business hat for a second and explain how magical this really is. And I hope Mike jumps in it. He mentioned the word DPIN, decentralized physical infrastructure networks. So we're deploying RTK stations right now. GeoNet has some other things that are interesting as well. The cost.
When you say we're deploying RTK stations right now,
we are, you are, anyone who buys one of these can deploy one of these stations.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So you look at it from the economics of this and the functionality. If you want to get networks of things out there, maybe it's city monitoring at some point, maybe it's some other thing out there, the cost to any one company, like if I wanted to go buy just a base station and host it myself and do all that, I'm looking at 10, 15 grand. Doing these decentralized networks changes the economics to make them more practical to deploy. And so the wider community, the folks in Brazil who could never possibly cover it because it would be hundreds of millions of dollars of physical infrastructure to deploy into a country like that where GeoNet is highly practical. So regardless of the tokenomics that go along with that, this type of network and this deployment, this is not the first of this style. So Mike, I'm hoping that's a good lead for you, but take it away.
I think that's right. I mean, I think we're gonna. There are a bunch of other deep-in projects that are out there. We, in particular, are one that I can tie back to geospatial that we're very involved in, and I'm helping all the time, is a project called Rover, and it stands for Robotically Operated Vehicle Research. And the device they have is actually a LiDAR camera RTK system that you mount on the roof of your car, and you drive around, and it collects HD map data that they then turn around and process and sell to companies working on simulation and working on working on autonomous driving algorithms. So
I'm sorry, what was that company again that I can put on my car and get paid for driving around?
Yeah,
I'm sorry, I didn't catch
Is
that.
it
R-O-V-R.
public? Can we invest in it? Can you give me the stock?
Yeah. Can you just go ahead and give me the New York Stock Exchange code so I can go ahead
This is
and
insider
It's a
information.
token.
What's
It's a
happening,
token.
Brandon?
It's a token. So you can buy the token. It's a Solana-based token, ROVR. And yeah, I mean, the idea is the same thing, to sort of create these HD map products and training data sets for people who want to get into them. If you're a startup in autonomy today and you're trying to work on autonomous systems, before you have your first LiDAR data set, you've had to buy a car, you've had to buy LiDARs, you've had to buy a GNSS, you've had to get an RTK subscription, you've probably, the software engineer who's working on the autonomous car probably doesn't want to drive it, so you've had to hire a driver or someone to around. You do all that just to start getting data. Rover's turning that into another decentralized project where you can purchase a device that's been very innovatively done. We'll be showing it at the ESRI conference and at Energeo. It's a really nicely integrated automotive LiDAR, 4K camera, and GNSS INS. And now you have yourself a mobile mapping system that you can earn tokens with.
That's crazy.
So I think these types of innovations, there's another project we work with called Spexy that's doing drone imaging.
We know those guys.
We do,
so-
yeah. We love Spexy was
That's
cool.
another amazing.
That was we talked to them at Geo Week.
Week.
Yeah.
Yep.
Amazing.
So I think that the being able to use why I called out Dr. Nick and the whole Ethereum is because what allows us to create a different set of logic, for Spexy versus GeoNet versus Rover, and make that protocol channel is this notion of the smart contract that Ethereum really invented. This idea of putting a smart contract into the chain that can allow you to sort of establish a set of rules that say, hey, look, if your station is only getting 5 satellites, you don't get any tokens. That's, you can put that sort of in the rule set so that you ensure quality, and then that data becomes available on the blockchain. It becomes transparent. I don't have to trust Mike Horton. I don't have to trust anyone at GeoNet because I can inspect the code and I can see this is how it works. This is how these things go. And I can know that the transparency is there, that station is a good station. and that it's really delivering the quality results that you need for RTK.
I'll get to you in a second, Nick. I just want to mention one thing that I want you guys to
There's
mention.
so much to talk about.
Well, we're an hour in. You said the word blockchain about 14 times, and outside of the five of us, can you just briefly, Mike? You're probably the best to. Why is blockchain such a good technology here in this application and a lot of the other stuff that you're doing?
And it's something to even think about in general survey. It is a distributed database. So we all know you can have a database that has this sort of centralized, okay, there's a record for Larry and he's got, this cash balance. That's kind of how a bank works. And so if I'm going to trust the bank, I need to trust that they're going to maintain that database, that they're going to secure it, that they're not going to, that no admin is going to get in there and change Larry's bank balance, right? I mean, that could happen. I think it's happened in the past at banks. This type of stuff has happened. It gets hacked and things change, right? There's one database, one copy of that database. That's it. And a blockchain, you basically, every node that's running gets kind of a copy of the database and they're synchronized through the chain. That's the sort of chaining of transactions that happens. And now, and anybody can run that database. If I'm running a node, anybody can run that sort of set of code that maintains that. And now it's decentralized and it's distributed. And that's really the best way to think about it. It's a blockchain with it's a database with many copies out there that are synchronized together through the chain. And now if one guy starts acting bad, there's mechanisms in it that'll kick that node out or punish that node for acting bad and get it off the network. So that's it's a way. Now, when you think about it in the banking analogy, which is a really clear, I don't really need to have a bank account to have money in the blockchain. I can put my money, I can have a USDC or USDT. These are stable coins, dollar denominated coins. I have that in the blockchain. I can access that capital. I can transfer that capital, and I don't need to have a bank account to do that because it's in the blockchain and it works. And it's very magical in that regard.
And that's like the first step of, you have to understand that before you go in past anything else, because that's the thing that makes all this trustworthy, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, very true. Larry, it seems like you've been chomping at the bit over here. What do you got?
So I'm going to switch gears a little bit.
Yeah.
And,
Well, good timing, Larry. Thank you.
Appeal to the survey and geospatial community a little bit. One of the things that's unique about, and any cores network, something that's providing is the stability of the network. And so, Mike, I guess I would ask you, can you speak to how you would address the geospatial professional or the surveyor of the techniques and technologies that GeoNet uses to assure that, hey, this is a stable RTK feed and you could rely on it? Because, folks are concerned with, if you have an unstable RTK antenna, results, all your work product is worthless.
Mm-hmm.
So
True.
That's a question that comes up quite often. So Mike, maybe you could speak to that a little bit.
Yeah, so we have a 24/7 monitoring of all the stations that then will automatically take a station offline if it's not meeting the quality thresholds that we've set for the network. And all the stations have to meet that quality threshold before they get put online. And so that's why there's, like, when you set it up, it only takes a couple hours to set it up, but it's not really in service for 24 to 48 hours. It's because the network is testing that station out to make sure that it's delivering a high quality result. It's calculating the precise coordinate before it enters into service. And then once it's into service, we're monitoring it 24/7. The back-end infrastructure that distributes the data is built on Amazon AWS, which is, powering, I think, a huge percentage of the internet services we use. Is very reliable. We have over 60 caster servers distributed out throughout the world that are making the connection from stations back to, end users. So I think it's, architected to be, quite reliable on the back end. The one piece that, can get people is internet and power. And this is not true. This is true not only for GeoNet, it's true for the, cores networks. It's true in life. And so I think redundancy is a really important element of that. We have stations now that support a cellular backup radio built into them. And people take those steps because they want to ensure that they're earning the most tokens that they can, and I think that's helpful, that there's this sort of incentivation that you can see to keep it. You're earning, tokens. You're seeing tokens come in every day, and it's very visible to people. We have email alerts that let people know if their station isn't performing as well as it should be. So there's a very visible and material, like actually financial feedback system that's on a very tight closed loop to help keep that network, that last bit of the network, which is really power and internet, stable, and alert to people when there are issues. One of the things I've learned with GeoNet is just how lucky you are in places that are developed like the United States to have good, stable power and internet. I know we all complain about it, like not being as stable and reliable as we'd like. It's true. We occasionally have power outages here and occasionally have internet outages, but it's really pretty remarkably reliable. You go to islands, you go to developing world countries. We have 1,500 stations in India, and I can say it's not as reliable in a lot of these places. And I think.
Did you say Iowans, as in Iowa?
No, India.
India.
I was
We
like,
have 1,500
I was like,
stations
okay,
in-
there's
in
Iowa and then
India.
India. Those are the two desolate places.
That's funny.
But no, that's a good
but
point. Keep
actually,
going.
and no joke to Iowa, but rural locations do have lower power reliability. We've seen that.
Yeah,
That's a real
yeah.
thing. So the grid, it is something to be reckoned with, and redundancy is a huge part. Having a lot of stations really helps this, because you often have kind of isolated incidents that then you would never see as a surveyor. You never see that because the network there's enough stations. It just works all the time. But those are the key points, Larry. I think we are publishing a paper for the next ION conference, the Institute of Navigation conference.
Not ION.
The
ION. Yeah,
got it.
ION, Institute of Navigation. It's a big conference on satellite navigation. That it'll be in Baltimore. They have it every year, and we published our initial white paper there that kind of got the whole project kicked off. It's an academic and government conference, and we're publishing a paper this year that's been accepted on the reliability of GeoNet and all the work that we've done, and how real empirical data that backs that up. So I think between the transparency that we provide and the actual real reliability of it, it's going to be quite a novel paper, just showing, look, we've scaled this now to over 15,000 stations now, 18,000 stations a week, a huge number. We have an awful lot of data that supports this thesis that a decentralized approach is actually more reliable than a centralized approach, and we'll be publishing that paper. I think it comes out in September, and that'll really formalize a lot of these results.
That's amazing. So how do people keep up with all this? What's the best mechanism to do that?
Well, we publish a lot on YouTube ourselves, and I've been trying to publish a podcast a bit myself. So I think YouTube is I think our very best channel, because it's got all kinds of information on it. We also have X, we have LinkedIn. Those are I think 3 good ways to follow the project. Definitely social media is a good one, because stuff's changing all the time, and we're trying to produce content all the time to kind of help people understand how to use it with drones. I think in the survey space, drone usage is really growing, and GeoNet is very popular in the drone community.
Real quick, why is that?
I think because a lot of guys were setting up stations before. So the mantra that DJI has sort of set, and I think there's a really exciting trend to get new drone suppliers. And I'm working all the time on this to get new, more diverse set of drone suppliers. But let's face it, up until recently, DJI has been the main kind of guy.
Yeah.
And DJI set a mantra that
Maybe up until today. Just look at the news today. No.
Yeah.
I didn't see this.
It is a
Did not
very
see
real
this.
time evolving, and I am passionately working. I just published a blog on our robotics roadmap, and I am working feverishly to get kind of new drone suppliers and new drone, really GeoNet's directly involved. We're working with Spexy to actually get a GeoNet ready drone put together, made in USA, completely.
Yes. I was just going to ask. Yes.
I think it's super important. I think we have ideas on how to make it even better than DJI, how to make it easier to use, how to make it more sustainable. Like, we could have a whole discussion on that, but I think that's super important. But I think one of the reasons GeoNet has caught on is two parts back to DJI. kind of one of the existing things is they have pushed people on base stations. Their base stations have been kind of inconvenient, expensive, and it's not easy. It's another piece of equipment for the guy to take out. And at the same time, they've made it really easy to connect to Intrip. So if you do go into the controller, you can connect to GeoNet very easily. So they have a lot of people out there doing work with DJI drones and RTK. They've made it easy to connect to GeoNet. They've made it relatively expensive and inconvenient to use their base station. That's made it a ready-made market for a lot of drone guys to see the benefit of connecting into a permanent reference network as opposed to hauling out this $3,000 plus base station, setting it up, hoping it doesn't fall over during the flight. Because you're obviously, when you're flying the drone, you're not paying attention to your base station. And I think that's a good, good explanation for why it's, done so well in drones.
So real quick, funny story. Spexy has been mentioned a couple times. We met Bill, I believe, from
Yeah.
Spexy at GeoNet.
We did.
Not at GeoNet, at GeoWeek.
That was wild.
And
because he was
yes, but I had that when Bill was sharing what Spexy was doing, I had the same feeling when I first heard about GeoNet from Mike. I was like, this is a freaking disrupting game changer, right? And I'm like, hold on a second, you got to meet Mike from GeoNet. He goes, we're already connected.
Yeah.
I'm
It was
going to see him in Dubai
6
next
contracts
week.
in. Like, where you been, Ken?
Damn it! I thought I was making a connection.
Right. Well, so we need to move it along.
Yeah, you had
We,
something,
we,
Larry?
we need what we need to do now is kind of circle the room here. What are the last questions we have for Mike before we start to wrap up? There's a couple big ones that we need to talk about the future of, but we'll kick it to Larry first. What do you got for Mike to kind of wrap us up?
So the last thing I'm going to do is drop kind of a follow on to what you were bringing up, Sean, which is talk about local datum support. I mean, you work in a lot of different countries, and boy, I'll tell you, every one of them does their own thing. And
I mean, it is magical that you just flip it on and it just knows which one to use, but Kent's a little nervous about that.
and we have, in theory, we have a new one coming.
I was
and-
just going to say, how
Yeah,
is that
that's
going
right.
to be handled? That's a whole other podcast, probably.
I don't know what. I didn't hear any of that. What?
Yeah, so we have a real expert on our team who's I think one of the questions was, who's your mentor, who do you most respect in the GNSS field. And I was actually going to mention this person. So he's Dr. Yudan Yi. He's one of my co-founders. He's taught me pretty much everything I know about satellite navigation at a real theoretical level. Like, he's a real expert on carrier phase and ambiguity resolution, all this sort of low-level technologies. And he knows datums backward and forward. He's a PhD from Ohio State University, which is one of the most well-known and regarded schools in geodesy. And he maintains these datums, and he's adding datums all the time at customers' request. I think there's like 20 or so that are supported, and it will basically, it detects your location and it automatically picks the standard datum for that location. You can look up on our list. And then we do have a few special datums we add here and there for people that are kind of not the standard ones. But that's what we do. And he made me code up some datum conversion code myself. He's like, Mike, you got to do this exercise for the reader. You've got to go learn how to do a datum conversion yourself. We were working on a paper together, actually another paper, totally different paper for ION. He's like, Mike, you're just going to have to learn this stuff. So I went off and I wrote Python code to do it. And it's pretty complicated, I have to say. It's not something you want to, it's not fun. But he's got all that stuff down and all the velocities and all this stuff. And he's the magician behind the curtain getting the code implemented to support all the datums.
Hey, Mike, what role is AI playing in this?
Yeah, I think that AI is playing a lot of roles in driving usage of GeoNet. So the way I liken it, like, first of all, you have this sort of whole geospatial learning, like, hey, how are we going to learn what a door is? How do we learn what a chair is? Well, a lot of that comes down to kind of LiDAR and language, what large geospatial models. And that's an area that there was this rover protocol is very involved in. And another simple way I like to think about AI's role is, like, GeoNet's sort of a superpower for these AI systems. Imagine, AI is really good at classifying and determining things and making inferences on things. But it needs, like, if you want to be grounded to make those things more accurate, knowing where you are accurately is a good thing. Imagine if you could remember where everything in your house was, or everything in your life was, everything that you've run across to centimeter accuracy. And then you could share that to your wife, right? I mean, that's a superpower, and that's kind of what precise localization does. We're scanning.
No chance. No chance she thinks that's a superpower.
My wife
That
vacuums
is-
perfectly, and there is
Yeah,
no
yeah, Mike.
question
Mike,
about it.
I understand where you're going with that, but there is a zero chance I will get even close to the Marvel universe by providing this information to my wife.
Oh yeah, well maybe that's the wrong, but a robot can walk through with a lidar and RTK scanning the world, and then figure out what all these things are, put those in their exact locations, remember it forever. They don't forget, right? And they can share it with another robot and give that robot that same intelligence instantly. And there's going to be a network effect of these things where
Yep.
robots are gathering intelligence, sharing it with other robots who have other capabilities, who are learning things. And I think that's the stuff over the next 5 years that is going to be incredible. It's also pretty scary. You go back to, these are apex predators. I mean, if they're able to
It's
walk,
already happened, Mike.
it's
It's
yep,
already happening.
yeah,
Your
Crazy.
iOS device is talking to every other iOS device. Like,
yep.
yeah,
It's
that-
true.
It's just not in the way that you want it to, because you can't control it.
Yeah. Crazy. Crazy. What you want?
No, what I'd like to do, and then we Nick, do you have anything to wrap up with Mike before we let him go? Any last questions? Because
I do.
there's one question I always ask Mike at the end, but before that, I think it'd be a good idea. This is an amazing episode. I think this is more time than we usually spend, but still very valuable.
I feel like we're gonna have to say a prayer or something.
I just think that I usually ask, where is this going? But I want to get the perspective of all of us on where we think what Mike's talking about, and not really you, but the other three guys of where they think kind of the future is going. So I'd like to kick that around before your last question.
Good. What do you think, Larry?
Oh boy. What Mike is bringing up, I like to see the good in all of this.
Yeah.
And there's a couple of really interesting use cases.
Love it.
I think, the dogs, the humanoid type things that could be roaming around. Think about all the unsafe locations that a human could be in. The treacherous locations. Think about FEMA, for example, going in and mapping out a site, or going into an area where there's chemical pollutants, things of that nature. I mean, things that are really impractical. Maybe not like Chernobyl or anything like that, but I like to believe that some technology will be used for good. And there are places that humans shouldn't go to. And when we look at the automation and the things that could actually benefit society, there's a ton of value. We haven't even talked about autonomous vehicles. I mean, just that are going on the roads right now. They will all need, yes, Waymo's doing a lot with LiDAR, but look at over-the-road trucks and things of that nature, and convoying, and just optimizing how we move goods from A to B. We are babies in that world right now, and in 10, 20 years, we're going to look and it'll be like my rotary telephone compared to what we're going to see there. So that's my gig, and I'm sticking to it.
Yeah, no, I can't argue with that.
Nick, you're up.
All right, first off, go Gators. Ohio State University sucks. And we won in 2006 a national championship, and I don't care what kind of geodesy program they have.
Was that
Sorry,
20 years ago?
Yeah,
A few years ago.
I mean, you could have a kid and graduate them to college in that amount of time. But yes, continue on, please, Nick.
We're digging deep.
Were you like 10?
Sean Kent. No. Try again. 2006. I'm 41. I understand, Sean, Kent, and Larry. You guys don't understand what it means to win national championships.
No, we don't. We don't.
But
It doesn't happen that often.
Hey, Super Bowls and World Series, though.
Different
Fair
topic.
enough. And Mike, no offense, you're not you're going to get ripped on too. You left one of the best cities and states in the country to go to California, so you should have probably stayed in Austin. All right. Aside from all of that, aside from all of that, no, aside from all of that, the reality is we are a geospatial group here, right? Like we talk about blockchain, we talk about these technologies that are super advanced and may change the world. But I really want to talk about what Larry was saying a minute ago. Let's focus on that land surveyor. Let's focus on that GIS person. Or how about that precision agriculture unit that's spraying appropriately? Or whatever thing that is geospatially related, that location-based device. That is what's exciting to me. And so what I'd like to ask you, Mike, to kind of wrap up my part of it, jokes aside, is in the next few years, if you had to hypothesize, how do you predict the future? Do you see these adoptions? Like it's sexy, it's cool, everybody's about it, right? Like, and the obvious answer is yes. But the reality is that housewife who doesn't want to cut the grass or the husband who doesn't want to cut the grass, are they going to adopt it soon? You know, Kent might adopt it. But I want to ask you, like, could you forecast the next few years, technology-wise? AI is important, but location-based devices, like Esri's quote, who is a sponsor of ours at the Geoholics, is seeing what others can't. Geospatial positioning with RTK, real-time kinematic corrections, offers some really cool stuff. And getting away from blockchain, but like with Bad Elf, you can take a little device out that's the size of my palm and collect a centimeter of accuracy. Talk to me, trust me, I want to keep talking. Talk to me about your forecast of the future in like 60 seconds. Give me where you think the future is on these positioning devices, especially for geospatial
Yeah,
professionals.
I think geospatial is going to have a real golden age because of autonomy and robotics and the fact that these they need to be out in the world. They need to have this incredible geospatial precision and knowledge. So I think that the adoption of higher precision positioning techniques is going to really grow, and I think the field of geospatial is going to become more important. I'm sure if you look at Esri's community now versus a decade ago, it's way bigger because I think the need and the use cases of geospatial data is just growing and growing and growing, and that I think that trend is absolutely going to continue. There was this whole big thing that came out at CES where Jensen talked about the future of AI, and he said, "Hey, we're in this generative AI phase now, but the future is physical AI, with kind of general robotics and self-driving being the thing." Physical AI eats up geospatial data like crazy. It needs it. It can't work. You can't be, the stuff just doesn't work without strong geospatial capabilities. And so I just think that that's where things are headed 100%.
Mike, I literally watched a special recently. They were saying the adoption from horse to car. So the entire world's economy was horse and buggy and horsepower. Within 20 years of the combustible engine, it was gone. And all horses were used all of a sudden, like in the racing component. Like it was a
Mm-hmm.
sport. And I bring this all up because, like, if you think about this, holy cow, like we all want to drive. Like when
Yep.
like my little crappy S10 I had when I was 16 sucked. And I literally got my F-150 with big tires because like whatever problems I had in high school. But like within 20 years, I don't
Overcompensation.
even think, yeah,
Small
20 years.
penis.
We're gonna block that
Continue
out.
on, please.
Within a 20-year span, 2 decades, an entire force can change.
Yep.
Cars might not even be anything anymore. So you live on that ubiquitic, like that edge of change. And so all I would ask is, again, what do you see again, like that future? Like how is everything going to change very quickly? in
Well, I
your
think,
perspective?
yeah, I just think these services are, 20 years is probably longer than it's going to take for, autonomous cars to become a very dominant mode of transportation. It's probably, probably right at 20 years is what I'd guess. And I just, I think we all today have all these phones and gadgets with screens. I think we're going to all have a whole bunch of robots. Most of them won't be so fancy and so complicated, but the technology, the sensors, the positioning, the AI, it's all kind of there now. So it's just a matter of just a few years before a lot of these things that are kind of mundane things just get automated, and we're going to have more time to do creative work. And we're going to be working with AI to do creative work, which is what's even crazier. That's why I do think there's a sort of cycle that comes with it. And I'm pretty optimistic on it. I will say I worry about it a lot. I think it's it's all stuff could all go pretty bad too. So I hope that things like blockchain and the transparency that it can provide help kind of keep things in check. But I don't think whether we like it or not. I think it's just coming. It's just
Hmm.
coming in a big way.
So
Amen.
true. So true. So Nick, real
My
quick,
last thing,
you
and
got one
you
thing?
can go. I got one thing. My only takeaway,
Yeah.
and it's not even a question. I think we'll all get some head nods. But in the traditional surveying world, when you have a two-man crew, you have an instrument person
Mm-hmm.
and a crew chief.
Sure.
And I have to say, it sounds like from this conversation, that
Mhm.
instrument person is going to be a dog in a very small
That's your
time.
take.
Hey, so last
Or
Think
a
about it.
year,
humanoid. It's a humanoid.
No, well, why would you even want a humanoid? The
check
dog
this
is
out.
smaller, it's more nimble. Hey, and you don't have to worry about it, but not holding the rod straight. It's like, hey,
So
dog, hold it straight, and it'll freaking do it because it knows where to go and how to hold it straight.
Why would you even want a humanoid when you can have a
la-
dog?
last year,
So easier to train. Anyway,
last
Kent,
year
what you got?
I
Hold on.
last
Nick's
year
got
I
some.
yeah, last year I got the privilege to give 3 different keynotes across the country. And the quote I gave was, artificial intelligence is not going to take your job tomorrow.
Mm.
Somebody
Mhm.
using
Yeah.
artificial intelligence will
Yes.
take your job tomorrow.
Exactly.
And so, yeah, dogs
Totally
might
agree with that.
be. Yeah, I'll leave it at that. I'm done. I'm muting myself. I love
So,
you.
hey, Nick, real quick. I'm glad you brought up horse and carriage because if it wasn't for the horse and carriage, we wouldn't have NASCAR, right?
No, I thought that if it
You're
wasn't for
no, no, no.
moonshine, we wouldn't have NASCAR.
Oh, Ryan
So yeah.
Priest.
Yes, so it's literally back to NASCAR came around because prohibition. We had to outrun the police, and
Mhm.
Ryan
Wow.
Priest is awesome. And yeah, it's another conversation. So come meet a geoholic at your next convention, trade show.
We're everywhere.
Talk to us.
Indeed, indeed. Excellent. Great job, Nick. All right, my last question is this. Lear, I'm gonna let you go first. So, what is the legacy when you're done, gone? What's the legacy you want to leave behind when it comes to Bad Elf?
I'd like to say that part of the reason why I came on to Bad Elf is because I wanted to do things differently.
Mm.
I just really want to do things differently. And it's about being out with people and listening to my customers.
Mm.
There's nothing that makes me happier than to go, man, you're doing something cool.
Yeah.
I wish I could like split myself off and take a little piece of Larry and have him do that cool thing.
Yeah. Little Larry.
A little Larry. So he gets a chance to grow up and maybe make some choices that are a little better than Big Larry made.
Well said. Love
LL,
that.
LL, baby, LL.
That.
but really it's getting out there with people and experiencing the opportunity to change the way that they relate to technology.
Mm. Yeah,
Yeah,
super
love that.
powerful. So, how about you, Mike?
No,
What's the
no.
legacy you'd like to leave behind when it comes to GeoNet?
I think it's tough to top Larry's summary there. So I think in general, trying to make technology easier to use, hopefully make it more fun, bring new opportunities for surveyors to do their work, to use drones, to use mobile mapping systems, to kind of just make the technology accessible in places that maybe don't even have good survey equipment yet because it's too expensive. I think these are the things that get me excited. I do have a big passion for the developing world and seeing new tech get into developing locations. It's something I think we share a lot with Bad Elf. We talk a lot about how to bring the technology out to new locations, get it set up, get it working for folks.
Well said, for sure.
Well said.
No doubt. Anything else you guys want to get out there, Larry, before we let you go? This has been an amazing conversation. I can't believe we're an hour and 40 minutes in. Like, I feel like we got another 2 hours in this, to be honest with you. Sean's got to go.
Well, we'll have to put that as a. I don't have to go. Our listeners have already left, so we should put this as a part 2 because we could expand
So
on
good.
all of these topics and keep it
awesome.
going.
Awesome.
I just love what Mike said. I mean, one of the things that's near and dear to my heart, more from a social, spiritual kind of world, is emerging markets.
Yeah.
I mean, there's some amazing things we could do if we are culturally sensitive to, do they want these things done to them?
Sure.
And being open to change, right?
But there's developing nations that really could use this technology. I mean, I look at small farming and microloans and all the other stuff. I mean, technology plays a part in this, and it allows places, like in Africa, where, hey, I need to understand a cadastre so I know who owns something, so that I could actually give a loan to the farmer.
Yep.
And so technologies like this really actually can impact the world.
Yeah.
And I would definitely like to be a part of that.
Yeah. Well, you mentioned that, like these developing countries or nations that don't even have a cadastre to establish like land ownership and stuff like that. This is massive for that.
Whole nother podcast.
Yes.
We do have one more question. We're not even going to let Nick talk anymore. I do have to ask Mike. We have one question we ask everybody. Take us out. Do you have a mantra that you live by?
Do I have a mantra I live by? I guess, live and let live. I try not to impose. I try not to make too many assumptions, and try to also appreciate everyone's perspective. Not be too judgmental.
Don't lie, Mike. You're from Austin. Your mantra is eat barbecue.
Well, there's always that. I do miss my hometown, Austin. I have to say, you called that one right too, Nick. It's a great place.
Franklin's, Blacks,
It's a great
oh my
place.
But that's well said.
Excellent.
Appreciate it, Mike.
Excellent. Great episode, guys. Great conversation, Larry. As always, thank you for being here. This is amazing. Nick, Dr. Nick, so good to see you. So much happening in your life. I'm excited for you. And Mike, of course, thank you. Thank you for being here. I know you're super, super busy. Thanks for making this happen. And
I
Larry,
had to say, Mike is one of those people that work or somehow live in a 40-hour a day instead of 20. Like, he just seems
Well,
like
yeah,
he does
yeah.
more than the rest of us.
he's like a Trent Keenan. There's
Yeah,
more than one Mike Horton.
I know.
He's
Somehow
like,
he's just
somehow
everywhere.
has multiplied himself. I'm not sure how, but
I'm
I got to
looking
figure
for
that
my
out.
humanoid clones to come online.
Ah, there he is.
I
That
knew
tells
it.
me they're developing in the basement right now.
I knew it.
I robot like Mike Horton.
There you go.
Right.
Exactly. All right. Adding value, making friends. We've done it again, Sean. We've done it again.
I think we have.
If anyone would like to be a guest on a future show, shoot us an email at info@thegeoholics.com. Black Sabbath Iron Man, available everywhere. Until next time, everyone, live and let live. Appreciate everyone's perspective. Be more like Larry Fox.
Please.
Most importantly, be safe and healthy, everybody.